Good afternoon, my name is Liam Nield and this is the MU Review, the place where I talk all things Manchester United in the world of football. And get in, Manchester United have just beaten Chelsea by 2-0 at Old Trafford. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that, especially in the first half, and maybe even throughout the whole game, that was probably the best and most Mourinho-esque performance we have seen from Manchester United all season. This is the kind of digging in and character that we've been waiting for. You know, we've seen our players do flashy stuff, we've seen our players dominate teams, but we haven't seen us do what we did today, which was go and execute a game plan against the team that has been far and away the best team in the league up until recently, I would argue, and we absolutely shut them out of this game. We are only the second team in the league this season to stop Chelsea from scoring in a game, and the first one was Arsenal back before Chelsea really found out what their system was. So I even consider us the first team to really square up with this 3-5-2, 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it, this system that Conte has been playing all season to great effect. We are the first team, and therefore Mourinho is the first manager to outfox him. It makes me wonder what would have happened in the FA Cup quarter-final had we had 11 men on the pitch, but that's not the issue right now. I'm on cloud 9. I'm so thrilled with the way that this game went. I was very negative, I was very pessimistic about the game because we played so poorly against Anderlecht, and you know, we rested players. Obviously Mourinho's lineup was extremely different from what was expected. Ibrahimovic getting benched probably for the first time all season in a game where we, in a big game, shows how much Mourinho really cares about the Europa League, and he knows that even having won this game, the top four is still going to be very difficult, what with Liverpool and City both winning and picking up momentum as well. But the fact that we've been able to go and make a team that may still, and probably will still be favourites for the league title, the fact that we've made that team look bang average today and outplayed them in every area of the pitch really fills my heart with joy. It's the kind of performance I've been waiting for all season, and I'm really thrilled. Obviously, you can tell I'm hype, I'm up for it. We were harder, better, faster and stronger, as Daft Punk would say, than Chelsea were. Herrera was absolutely superb. Spoiler alert, he is my man of the match. Not only did he mark Eden Hazard out of the game and stop Chelsea, well, as a team we stopped Chelsea from mustering a single shot on target throughout the game. De Gea was on his cup of tea all day. He had absolutely nothing to do, and the fact that we are doing that against the team that should be champions at the end of the season makes me very positive moving forward. Now, to get into the finer points of the game, the first goal was absolutely world class. The assist from Herrera, that is the pass. That is the reason that Ander Herrera is one of my favourite Manchester United players, and he gets slated quite a lot. A lot of players, or rather a lot of pundits, especially, this might be a bit of a reach for some of you, Tom Rennie, I think his name was, on TalkSport, he absolutely hates Manchester United, clearly, because he slams us every week. But one thing that he says is that he doesn't think Ander Herrera is a quality player. Well, he needs to watch this game, because Ander Herrera dominated this game, and N'Golo Kante was nowhere to be found, and he's been the best midfielder in the world for the last couple of years. So the fact that Herrera completely bossed that midfield really says a lot about his performance today. The pass was superb, and Rashford finished it off. It wasn't the greatest finish, but it went in the back of the net. Had Courtois been playing, we can argue all day over whether he would have saved it or not, but the fact of the matter is the kid has got talent, and if it wasn't for Ander Herrera getting the assist and the second goal and marking Eden Hazard out of the game, Rashford would have been my man of the match. He was absolutely superb. He was unlucky not to get a hat-trick in this game. If he had taken a chance on a cross that was sent in, I think, by Jesse Lingard in the first half, we would have been 2-0 up inside 15 minutes. And I was watching this game with a friend of mine who's a Spurs fan, who was obviously supporting United for the day, being a Spurs fan, wanting to win the title. And the comparison that I drew was to last season. We had a game against Arsenal. It was the game that is remembered as Marcus Rashford's Premier League debut, where he scored 2 goals in the first 15 minutes, and we fielded a side that on paper should have gotten blown away by that Arsenal team. This was an Arsenal team last year that were competing for the title with Leicester, who needed the points, played a full-strength team, and we had players, we had the likes of Guillermo Varela, Jesse Lingard, Marcus Rashford, Fosu Mensah made his debut, James Weir made his debut that day. We had so many young players, and it looked from the off, or before the game, that we were going to lose the game. You just think, oh yeah, Arsenal are going to have too much, and we went out there, Rashford scored 2 early goals, Herrera scored a deflected shot to make it 3-1, and we ended up winning the game 3-2. And what does that sound like to me? That sounds like the game that I've just watched. Marcus Rashford scores an early goal, gets us off the ground, we dominate from start to finish. Ander Herrera gets a bit fortunate, scores a lucky goal early in the second half, puts the game to bed. There were moments in the second half, I'm not going to act like I was sitting there fully confident that we were going to see the game through. I was definitely nervous up until stoppage time, but Chelsea were just not at it today. And I don't think that we should take that in any offence at all. I don't think that it lessens the victory at all. I think the reason that Chelsea were not able to do anything today was because we didn't let them. And that is a Mourinho masterclass if ever I've seen one. I thought Eric Bailly was excellent. I thought that the standout players, Ander Herrera and Marcus Rashford, of course. I thought Eric Bailly was excellent. Mourinho's deployment of Michael Carrick was genius when Cesc Fabregas came onto the pitch, because he didn't let Cesc Fabregas have even the close to the time of day when he came onto the pitch. And between the entire team, you felt that spirit in the side. You felt the bounce, and they got Old Trafford behind them from the first whistle, scoring that early goal, putting to rest any fears that it would be another home draw or that we were going to get turned over by Chelsea when Rashford latched onto that Herrera pass and slotted it home. And we were comfortable, to be completely honest. It's difficult when you're watching a game as a fan. I'm sure any of you who support football teams know that when you're a fan, you almost see things through tinted glasses, both positively and negatively. And throughout the game, I was still, conscious of the fact that we could very much lose a goal and then the game would change. But they didn't even have a shot on target. We bossed the game to the point that they were absolutely 100% outplayed, and that makes me so infinitely more satisfied than even the 3 points, because let's face it, the top four is still going to be tough. Liverpool won, City won. They don't look like dropping a lot of points, and we've got some very difficult games coming up. We've got to go to the Emirates, which I do believe that Mourinho can win a game at the Emirates, but it's going to be difficult. Arsenal, for all their problems, are still a good side. Manchester City away is probably going to be the biggest game that we've got left this season. It's on a Thursday night. It's between two weekend games, I think, if I'm looking at my calendar. It's between the Burnley game and the Swansea game. So it really does. It is extremely vital to our momentum that we get something out of that game. But the fact, and then we've still got to go play Spurs, who for my money are the best team in the league right now. I think that Chelsea are top of the league, obviously courtesy of that incredible 13-14 match winning run that they had in the middle of the season. But it was Spurs who ended that run, and since then, Chelsea have not looked the same team. They haven't reached those heights again. Diego Costa was poor today. I think he was lucky to not get sent off. He definitely can't. I think Conte definitely calmed him down at half-time, because in the first half he was definitely on course to be sent off in that game. He was absolutely played like a fiddle by Marcus Rojo and Bailly. They got in his head, and he didn't do a damn thing all game. And this is a guy who was, golden boot leader at that point in the season where Chelsea were dominating things. But not to go away from Manchester United just for a moment, I do believe that Spurs will win the league. I know that might be a very flighty thing to say. I do think the FA Cup semi-final next week is going to be important for them, because should they beat Chelsea, even if it doesn't have any ramifications to the league directly, psychologically, they will know that they're the better side, whereas if they lose, that could knock them back. But anyway, that's enough about the other teams. This is about Manchester United, and we've got some momentum back now after 2 draws that really sucked the life out of our season against West Brom and Everton. 2 draws that really could have been worse, especially the Everton game. We probably should have been beaten. But the fact of the matter is, since we got thumped 4-0 by Chelsea in October, we have not lost a league game. Now, we've drawn 10 of those 22 games and won 12, and 10 is too much. If even half of those games had been victories, which they should have been, and anybody who watched most of those games knows that we probably should have done better. Not to say that we deserve to, but we obviously could have and should have done that. We would be 10-15 points better off. This could have been a game that had title ramifications for us. The title's long gone for us. It's been gone for us since before the new year, but the top 4 is on. And I do hope that we do reach the top 4 regardless of how we do in the Europa League, mostly because it's good to have that security blanket. We saw Liverpool get all the way to the final of the Europa League last year and lose. And for Manchester United to put themselves in a situation where they have to win a one-off game on the continent against a team like maybe Schalke or Celta Vigo or anybody else who ends up in the competition in the final would be very stressful for Man United fans. If we'd already locked up 4th place, I think it would be a lot more fun, and we could still win the Europa League for the courtesy of winning the trophy and also getting into the Champions League proper. And not having to go through the qualifying rounds. Now, obviously, I'm not assuming by any stretch of the imagination that we're going to win the Europa League. I'm not even assuming we're going to get past Anderlecht. I do believe that we should, and if we play the way we did, and if we execute our game plan the way that we did today, there is not a team in the Europa League that can stop us when we're on form. The fact that Rashford stepped into Ibrahimovic's boots and scored the goal, played brilliantly, would have been the man of match if it not for the heroics of Herrera that I mentioned. is so promising for the future. This is a player who, much like Luke Shaw, much like Henrik Mkhitaryan, is benefiting from Jose Mourinho's tough love. I think Anthony Martial is a player who's going to have to benefit from it as well, because people in the press, they like to say Mourinho is pushing players out, or that he doesn't like players because he's not playing them. I completely disagree. It's the same myth about him not playing young players. I understand that traditionally he hasn't, but this is a guy who understands Manchester United. We had 2 academy players in the side today against the champions-elect, you know, and they absolutely... And Rashford was fantastic. Obviously, Fosu Mensah was only on the pitch for a few minutes, but I do think that Mourinho is changing his stripes, but not in the ways that matter. The ways that matter for him, the tactics, the mind games, and the man management, that's all the same. That is what Mourinho is great at. What he's changing is his philosophy on football, because the club is Manchester United now. He's a man who understands what he needs to do. And obviously, he said it himself in the press, a bit controversially, that not getting into the Champions League wouldn't be a disaster. I think he's right in the sense that disaster would be a strong word, but it would be a failure of a season if we do not get to the Champions League. Now, even if we finish 5th, or 6th, or even 7th, if we win the Europa League, we're in the Champions League group stages, and we've got 2 trophies in the cabinet. I don't think we should put all our stock in that. I think we should strive to win every game for the remainder of the season. And for the first time in a while, I have a lot of faith in Manchester United. Now, this could come back to bite me. I could end up looking at this video at the end of the season and wanting to put my foot through the screen because we've lost however many games, finished 7th and gone out in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. But it feels good to be positive, and I've been positive long term about Manchester United all season through thick and thin. But this is the first time in a few weeks, in probably a month and some change, that I've felt positive about the present and the short term. This is a team that is getting into groove and is building momentum. And against a team like Chelsea, who, yeah, they're top of the league, those fans are going to be looking over their shoulder very nervously now. I want Tottenham to win the league because I would like it if 5 different English teams could win the league in 5 consecutive seasons. I think that's a great advert for the Premier League, as it is really blowing up worldwide. But I don't want this video to run too long, so my man of the match does go to Ander Herrera. It would have been Marcus Rashford if Herrera hadn't put that beautiful ball in and scored a goal and marked Eden Hazard out of the game. You really can't overlook that. Absolutely brilliant performance from him. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more like this, and comment if you've got anything to say about this or anything else related to football or not related to football. If you've got a random question for me, I don't have anything better to do, go ahead and ask. But thank you for watching if you have, and I'll see you next time, hopefully to talk about Manchester United getting through to the semi-finals of the Europa League.